Welcome to The Confident Healer. I'm your host, Sharmila Mali, and in this podcast, we have inspirational, uplifting, and soulful conversations about the ins and outs of having confidence as a healer and as a healer in business. So first of all, I just want to start with psychology. Is there a definition for confidence in psychology, or is there defining factors for confidence?
Not necessarily. I think self-esteem and self-confidence is continuously talked about in all our interpersonal conversations and communications, right? So I think it's one of the issues that many people struggle with without knowing that they're struggling with it, right? Mm-hmm. So when people come in for anxiety and stuff like that, there's always the underlying issue of self-esteem and self-confidence that we definitely address while we're discussing their major issues that they come for.
And is confidence something you can teach? Do you teach it?
I don't think it's something that you can teach. I think it's just something that a person has to inherently cultivate. So our journey in our conversations is, how do we get that client, that person, to look at it as something that's hindering their process, create some education around it, and how do we help them create habits to inherently cultivate confidence?
Okay. So it's interesting that it's something that's inherent. In my previous interview with a licensed social worker, and she's also a sexual radiance coach, she was saying that we're born with confidence. Do you agree with that?
I think I would agree with that. I think we cultivate behaviors over a period of time, whether it's low confidence or whether it's high confidence, right? I think all of us are born with these traits, but how in our childhood, our caretakers or our support system, how do they help us cultivate it and build it is the issue. So by the time I see clients, they're teenagers or young adults or older adults, they've not had an opportunity to cultivate it, even though they're born with it. So I think, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I think that therein lies the problem. And most people don't see it as confidence. People come in with other issues, and it's always underlying. Confidence is one of self-esteem and confidence is one of the underlying issues that comes up.
And what are some ways that you help your clients cultivate confidence?
I think part of it is like really helping the client understand it's that if the lack of confidence and lack of self-esteem is stopping them from being who they are and who they want to be, right? So that's the first step. So once we sort of address that and understand the dynamics around it and how that came about or where it played in their lives, and then we address what are some of the things that we can do to cultivate that confidence, right? So for each person, it's something different. In psychology, there's so many theories. So you apply some of these theoretical orientations as a way of case conceptualization to help a client understand. A lot of what we do, or at least what I do, is solution focused, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapies. So in all of that, I think one of the things that comes up is, in order to sort of cultivate confidence, you have to look at your inner critique.
Yes.
Right? So you have to look at those negative self-beliefs that we constantly tell ourselves, right? So we have to first bring that to a conscious level, right? For most of us, people don't even realize they're putting themselves down constantly.
Yeah. And so speaking of the inner critic, talk about, because so confidence is inherent. You're born with it. We've got two specialists that have said that, and that's a consensus so far. However, the inner critic is learned.
It's absolutely a learned behavior. So it's the messages that we've received growing up, could be, or it's what we perceived about ourselves based on other people, talking about us or to us, right? So we get all of these messages, and we either have the ability to process them and say, okay, some of these messages are not good for me, or some of these messages are good for me. And then we don't have that ability when we are young to do that. It's our parents who help us do that, right?
Right.
So,
or unhelp us do that.
right, in some ways, or our caretakers, right?
Mhm.
So when we don't have that, then we sort of cultivate, unfortunately, this inner critique, right?
Mhm.
And the other big thing in our culture specifically, and in various cultures, is this quest of being a perfectionist. Right? You have to be
Right.
good at everything. You have to be top at everything. You have to be. So perfectionism really doesn't allow us to thrive. It stops us from thriving. Because when we want to be perfectionists, we're not wanting to fail, right? So then we want to have this perception of perfectionism. And that's what we've been taught. Like many kids, that's what we've been taught. Oh, he sings really well. Can you sing in front of everybody? Or he's really good at math. Like, it really doesn't allow us to be who we are and learn without having that crushing like weight upon us to be
Right.
perfect, to be good at everything. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So then when we are not good at something, then we have our inner critique come up.
Right.
Right?
Right.
If we've been told it's okay to not be good at some things, just continue to work on it every day. If that's your interest, right?
Right.
Then we allow ourselves to make mistakes. We allow ourselves to, it's okay if I got like 80 marks out of 100. So we allow ourselves to be all of that, right? And we develop a confidence because then we are focusing on what is important for us rather than appearing perfect in front of the world, which is unattainable.
Right.
It's kind of like why are we setting up ourselves for failure? And that's something I struggle with constantly, this idea of perfectionism.
Now, so you were saying that it's in our society, in American society, and in other cultures as well. So within your own culture, because you're Indian, I'm Nepali, so I understand where that comes from, because I'm just going to say, as immigrants, and I immigrated as a child, and I think you said you immigrated.
I was around 21.
21, okay. It's especially for immigrants, it's a cultural thing, especially if you've grown up as an immigrant child, by your community, your family, that's put on you. And then, so talk about how that was growing up in India, the perfectionism. Did that stem from your parents putting that pressure on you?
Actually, for me, even though we come from a very traditional family, my sisters, my brother and I, we never had this sort of force from our parents to say you have to become a doctor or an engineer.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's unusual.
None of us are doctors or engineers among the four of us. It is unusual. My mom, most of the time, was like, just do good, like pick something and do good, become successful in it, right? And she had to give that message a lot to me. Then my twin sister, my older siblings were sent away to Bangalore to study with my grandparents. But me and my sister ended up being with my parents. And my sister, my twin, is pretty self-motivated in terms of education. So she's one of those like top 3 people in the class, right? And I used to be one of those like 30th in class. Like I was barely like passing because that was not my interest. Like economics and civics and biology and maths. I was always more of an extrovert. I was like, let me do drama, let me do acting, let me get out of the classroom and play. So that was where my energy was. So my mom always used to tell me, she's like, Deepa, just pass, okay? Just pass. I had set the expectation so low for her. So when I passed my 10th, she always used to be in shock. I would pass decently, but she would still be like, when did you study? Like, how are you passing? Like, but guess what? But the community around us and the friends that we hung out with, they were all pretty competitive, Sharmila.
Right.
I mean, that's just the culture. It's ingrained. Like, I remember some of my friends back in school, like, just fighting over, oh, they didn't get 100 or they got 99. Like, it was at that level of competitiveness. So even if my parents didn't compare or had that expectation, my teachers did. They're like, you need to study. What are you going to do with your life? And so I think I was like quite a confused child in trying to build my confidence, because I did not have that expectation at home, but everywhere around me I saw it, right?
Right.
But luckily I have a twin sister who is very supportive. Like, I still remember our board exams. My dad used to wake us up at like 4 a.m. in the morning and make us both a cup of tea, and then he'd go back to his room to sleep. As soon as he did that, I would have a blanket on me. So my sister's like, okay, go to sleep. I'll wake you up when I hear the noise of the door opening. So then I would literally go to sleep with a blanket while she's studiously studying. I wasn't sure if it was confidence or stupidity. I couldn't tell the difference between both at that time. So, and then she would kick me. She's like, wake up, dad's getting up. Like, he'd be rattling with the door. I'd just get up, and then I'd pretend like I'm studying. And so, and then I would pass. Like, I wouldn't get the greatest marks, right? I would just pass. And then I was like, I always, like, when you and I first talked about it, I'm like, what was it about? Because culturally within my home, I never got that message. But it was a message in the community,
Okay.
everywhere around you.
Yeah. And I think peer groups, as children's peer groups are, that could be very rough as well. For sure. So go ahead.
And the funny part was I was a class monitor. Like, my sister was like,
you're the narc.
she's like, how does it happen? Like, you're barely somewhere in your 60s and 70s while you're studying. And I would be but I had that because I was an extrovert in general, right? So I had that inner confidence to be able to manage a classroom and feel good about managing the classroom. But if you ask me what was like some mathematical problem, I'd be like, I have no idea.
Psychology. That is not a typical field that we as South Asians, and South Asians is quite a big group of countries. So I'm just going to narrow it to our countries, Nepal and India. That is definitely not something you come across our South Asian psychologists. So tell us about that.
I was always, I think, as a child, very curious about, just having, I enjoyed talking to people. I enjoyed listening to what was going on in their minds. I enjoyed listening to their stories. So somehow that was always an interest to me. But my mom would not want me to do psychology. Like, you know how the Indian education system is, 11th and 12th, you pick like either biology or physics or whatever, and then, or you pick arts. So that's what I did. So then for my college, I said, I really want to do psychology. And there was one psychology program. This is back in the day. This is like 95 I'm talking about, right? So she literally looked at me, and bless her heart, she's not with us anymore, but she looked at me and she said, you're going to become, she said, no way. I'm like, what do you mean, no way? Like, why not? And she goes, you're going to become mental, like the mental patients. This was her literal words that I can't. I mean, I would not say that out loud to anybody right now. Right. These were like quote unquote her words.
Right.
And then she said, what if when you get married and you have a kid, and then your kid is going to listen to all of this people's problems in your tummy, and that's not going to be good for the kid. I'm like, I'm 17. Like, we're thinking way too far ahead of my life. I said, what about all the other psychologists and all? She said, I don't know. It's just, no, we're not going to do it. So I didn't do it.
Oh, Wow.
No, I didn't take in undergrad. I didn't take psychology because I always listened to my parents. I
Mm,
don't know why, but I felt like there were some battles I wanted to pick and some I didn't. And this
right.
one, I'm like, you know what? It's not worth a battle that I want to pick with her,
Mm.
right? So I had confidence in that. I'm like,
Confidence in which battles to pick. That's survival skills. Yes.
exactly. My twin did not have that. I had it. So, but and then of course I got married and I came to the States. I was 21 at that time, and I was looking at doing a master's program here. And then I looked at my husband and I said, I've always been interested in psychology. I want to sort of do some research on that, because none of my friends did that. Like nobody in India did that. So I was like, where do I start once I'm here, right?
Right.
So then my husband's like, that's great. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. Because everybody back in the day were
Mhm.
getting into tech jobs because it
Right.
was paying a lot at that time, right? So I remember a lot of my friends, my husband's friends' wives, they were all like, oh, we're doing masters in computer science. I'm like, are you interested in it? And half of them were not, and half of them were interested in it. But people wanted to do it because there was money in there, right?
Right.
My husband looked at me and he goes, if you and I are in tech, we're going to have the most boring conversations. Do whatever the heck you want. And that's when I said, oh, this is freedom. This is great. And I got into it. And I have not regretted that decision
Mm,
at all, at all, any single day of my life.
wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we all hope for is to have an enriching work life that fuels you, and that's something that you're passionate about, that you're interested in, that you feel confident in. And
absolutely.
so what did your mom say when you said, so I'm going to get my master's in psychology and I'm in America, so bye?
She was like, do whatever the heck you want as long
Okay.
as your husband doesn't have an issue with it. She's like, you're not my problem anymore.
I was just gonna say that.
She's like, have fun. I'm like, what? You're not worried about my mental capacity? He's like, he's going to deal with it. So.
That's hilarious. Thank you for listening. Please go to www.theconfidenthealer.net. This is the best place to listen to the podcast, and it's also where you can go and find the guest info in the show notes. Remember, there are 3 important actions to take to help grow the show. Invite others to listen, leave a review if you learned something new, or if you just learned something, and by leaving a donation. You can find the links on theconfidenthealer.net. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.